You ever left a conversation thinking, well, that escalated quickly? We live in a time when speaking the truth feels like tossing a grenade. Pull the pin, brace for impact. I guess you're supposed to pull the pin and then toss a grenade. Order. There's a thing about order. But Jesus didn't call us to be silent, or he didn't call us to savagery either. He called us to a paradox. Shrewd as serpent, gentle as doves. Today we're diving into this. Today we're diving into how to speak with both backbone and grace. Someone cuts you off mid-sentence. You want to respond like Jesus, the table-flipping version of Jesus. You love that scene. It's tough, right? Navigating civil discourse today feels like trying to salsa on a tightrope. But there is wisdom in the tension, and Jesus gave us a guide. Stick around. We're unpacking how to hold truth and tenderness in the same hand. You're so animated down there in the corner, Jamie. I love it. Is it just us, or has a conversation become a contact sport? Whether it's politics, parenting, or pineapple on pizza, it hurts just to say it that way. Anyway, everybody's ready to throw verbal elbows, but Jesus offers a better way, one that doesn't sacrifice conviction or compassion. Let's talk about how to disagree like disciples, not internet trolls.
Got it. Oh, Bill, I think what we're talking about here is this whole concept around civil discourse.
Civil discourse, which today is kind of a contradiction in terms all by itself.
Kind of is. But before we jump into it, what's discourse anyway?
Okay, yeah. Define discourse. Let's go to the dictionary. Let's go to Merriam and Webster together.
Ooh, Merriam-Webster. So what does Merriam-Webster say about discourse? What does Merriam-Webster say about discourse? I already took it off my screen.
It's okay. It's kind of still there.
Merriam-Webster. I knew we were doing this, and I went ahead and closed my window.
Maybe it was a draft. Take your time.
So what does Merriam-Webster say about discourse? Discourse in and of itself, not take away the word civil out of it, just discourse in and of itself is a formal and orderly and usually extended expression of thought on a subject. Or it is connected speech or writing. Or it is a linguistic unit, such as a conversation or a story, that's larger than just a single sentence. So what we're talking about here is it is having a connected conversation with other people about a subject and giving your true thoughts and opinions about it.
Your true thoughts and opinions. And sometimes our true thoughts and opinions aren't our opinions. Many times we're just talking about what we believe is to be true. What is truth?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of controversy behind that as well today, is what is truth. Some people, you could have a large civil discourse on truth is relative or truth is absolute. And yeah, and even that's controversial, which makes me scratch my head. I mean, come on. I mean, so yeah. So yeah.
So when we
go ahead.
So when we say the word discourse, probably in a single word definition for discourse would be conversation or discussion.
I needed the third grade version of what discourse is.
Yeah. So now we add in the word civil. What does civil mean?
Not tipping over the tables. I think when Jesus was tipping over the tables, and this is my opinion, but when Jesus was tipping over the tables, the conversation was done.
Well,
he was making a strong point, and at that in that scene, so to speak, of him making that point, he was basically saying, "This is the truth, and you don't get it." I mean, I don't know if there was a conversation afterwards. Maybe a lot of conversations with a lot of other people, but he was making a point. And here's the one thing about Jesus tipping the tables, as it were, was he was making a point that he knew to be right. It was truth that was absolute, and nobody was getting it. I mean, we get it now because we're looking back on it and seeing how we responded. We get it.
Yeah.
Now, but in the moment, it was very atypical. But he needed to do that to get people's attention.
Sure.
Now, I'm not advocating for let's have a civil conversation. Let's have a conversation and start tipping tables over right off the front end, saying I'm right, you're wrong. No, that was a long-standing problem that he needed to put right to make a point.
Yeah, and obviously we don't know that maybe there was a lot of conversation that was happening before it escalated to that point. But the word civil itself just means like being courteous, being polite, right?
Yes.
So how do we have these potentially contentious conversations where you believe one way, I believe another way, and how can we have a conversation and keep it polite and courteous?
A lot of personal self-control, I think, to begin with. And you don't take it personal. We're discussing ideas. We're not talking about attacking your personal personal demeanor, your family, as it were. You know,
So
yeah.
there's two sides to this, right?
Mm,
It's because the one side is if I'm in a conversation with you and I disagree with you completely on whatever the subject is, the first thing I have to do is not take anything that you are saying personally, like you're attacking me personally. That you all you are doing is you're questioning my thought processes or my ideas or my beliefs. So I have to keep that in mind that it's that you aren't attacking me personally. You're just simply questioning my thought processes.
it's an
I think
exchange.
that's the first thing.
It's an
Yeah,
exchange of ideas.
right. The second thing I have to do is make sure that I am not now trying to attack you as an individual, but just simply that I am also now just questioning your your ideas, your thought processes, and your opinions, right? It's like so it's like I have to constantly be balancing both of these because in any conversation, if at any moment I start to think you're attacking me personally, what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to
I'm
defend myself.
going to attack you back personally.
Yeah, I'm going to do one of two things. It's like the whole flight or flight, the fight or flight thing, right?
Mm,
It's like I'm either just going to shut down and stop talking to you, flight,
right.
or I'm going to stand and fight. And now the only way I can fight you is to start attacking you,
Right. Right.
right?
Right now,
So,
uh, we're talking about this subject in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk,
right.
and we're not focusing on that instant and what happened. We were focusing on the idea that that guy was a master at civil discourse.
Absolutely.
I mean, when I think of civil discourse, I think of Charlie Kirk and him sitting down and wanting to have an exchange of ideas.
Yep.
And from all of the clips that I've seen, and probably everybody has seen over and over and over again, he tried to be as civil as possible. And he would have civil conversations with people with very different opinions. And he would also try to have civil conversations with people who just wanted to
Attacking.
attack him, make comments about how he looks or how he dresses or something. I mean, I think discourse breaks down when you start attacking the individual because you're getting away from the point.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's the whole idea of civil discourse is like, let's not take this to a personal level. Let's stay on track with discussing why you believe the way you believe and allowing me the opportunity to share with you why I believe what I believe. We may not come to agreement. We may walk away from the conversation having solved no problem or no issue or with no solution. You walk away feeling how you believe, I walk away feeling how I believe. But what we did in the moment was you gave me reasons to try to understand you. And hopefully you walk away with some reasons to consider why I believe the way I believe and I have a deeper understanding of me. So if at the very end we may still be polar opposites in our beliefs, but I have a much deeper understanding and potentially respect for you as a person.
Right. So I'm gonna pull this into a real personal example that I just had, and shockingly, it happened on Facebook.
No.
And you're thinking, Bill, you walked into that, you really did. So, and this was with a family member, a niece who lives in a socialist country, and she posted something about gun deaths. And I basically, and I started the conversation after that by saying, check your sources. And she did. She checked her sources. And of course, it was exactly what I thought it was. The sources were very anti gun. It came from Time magazine. I'll just say it. It came from Time magazine. But, and there's a point to be made about some truth in what she said, but we started to have a conversation. And I know I'm not going to change her mind. And I hope she knows it. Or she knows now that she's not going to change my mind, because there came a point in the back and forth, which, by the way, is kind of public. You have to be looking for it on Facebook to find it, but it is out there. And we came to the conclusion, or what I eventually said was we're never going to agree on this, and I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to change your mind, and you're not trying to change my mind, I assume. I said, but let me just say this. We will agree to disagree, and I love you. And I do. And she came back with the same thing. I understand, and I love you. And then her father jumped into the conversation, and he was a different cut of cloth. And he gave his opinion. And by the way, his opinion is sided very decidedly on my side of the conversation and not his daughter's. Right? And also him coming from that country as well and living in America. That being said, I jumped back in trying to be as civil as possible. And I said, this is where I stand. I have one. I have blah, blah, blah. I go blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada, yada. All about, and we were talking about gun control. So I said, I have them. I know how to use them. I'm the good guy with the gun, all that kind of stuff. And I said, there, I've laid it out. There's where you are. I said, the next time you guys come to visit, we ought to go to the range. And of course, the father said, I'm in. And my niece said, I would love to do that. Because my guess is she's never held a gun before in her life and therefore has no clue.
Yeah.
Because I didn't until I held one for the first time, and I shot one for the first time and learned how to do all that. But we had civil discourse on Facebook.
Yeah, on both sides.
On both sides. And the point, and here's the point.
The fact that it was on Facebook is so common on Facebook.
Crazy on Kate. Yeah. It can. I did step into the conversation with the idea of I want to converse with my niece, but I also want to keep it civil.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like that, I mean, that's a great example of like, and you said something in there that I think is maybe like this first little step that we have to keep in mind with civil discourse is I cannot have the intent of changing your mind. My intent has to be to understand your perspective and share mine. Let the chips fall where they may after that.
Right.
I mean, we're called to witness,
Right.
right? I mean, the Great Commission is to just share the gospel, share the good news. It is not our calling. The Great Commission isn't to convert people. The Great Commission is just simply to share,
To share the gospel.
right?
And,
So I
and,
can't walk into a conversation saying I have to convince you to believe the way I believe. I have to walk into the conversation is to let me understand your side and let me share mine. And then after that, it is what it is.
it's up to God. What did Jesus say about this? Jesus was sending out the 12 disciples. They'd been hanging around with him for a while, and then he's sending them out on their own with it
Yeah, and it's almost
with
paradox what he says here, right?
with this whole new. They have this whole new belief system, this whole new heart ecosystem that they dove into and left everything for. And Jesus says, "Okay, now you're stepping away from my coattails, away from my sandals, away from the reach of my arm. I'm sending you out." And he says this in Matthew chapter 10. He says, "I'm sending you out like sheep among wolves." And,
Which
and
is almost saying you're going to get attacked
you're going to get eaten
and
up.
you're going to get eaten up.
Wolves eat sheep.
Yeah,
Do
it's a delicacy.
right? I wonder if do the wolves, after they eat the sheep, do they have a wool sweater? Just as a anyway. The other part of sorry. I'm sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore, be as shrewd as serpents and as innocent as doves. What do we do with that?
Yeah, like I can't do both.
And
If you want
yet,
me to be as shrewd as a serpent, that means I have to bite you and fill you with venom.
well, he's saying be as shrewd as serpents. I mean,
So he's referring back to Genesis, right? In terms of how shrewd the serpent was, in terms of to convince Eve of the idea that, hey, come on now, you're not going to die if you actually eat this.
right?
So he was shrewd to convince Eve of something. So, like, what does that mean from a Christian perspective? Like, how that almost seems cunning and evil to be shrewd as a serpent. But what does that mean in a Christian context?
I think it's my idea is know your stuff.
Ah,
No, like I'm not going to jump into this conversation about, and because I've already mentioned, let's just say gun control. I'm not going to jump into a conversation about gun control if I've not studied, looked at both sides, come to a conclusion myself, and know how to defend it. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to jump into
okay.
a conversation about the conflict in Israel, and I'm not going to because I just don't fully understand it. And part of shrewdness is I think is honestly knowing your stuff, and not knowing your stuff with a badge of honor. Go ahead, challenge me on the Bible. Not like that. You just you know what you believe. You are able to defend what you believe.
I
So
like that. I like that aspect of I've done my homework to the point where I can defend what I actually believe.
right. So one thing to write down: wisdom isn't weakness.
Mm.
Being strategic in speech honors God just as much as being bold honors God. Shrewdness is biblical, or it's not manipulative.
So it's, thinking back to the serpent in the garden was more manipulative.
Right,
But the shrewdness comes from knowing what you know and knowing how to defend what you know.
right. So, and here's something else, and we haven't talked about this yet, but tone tells the truth.
Yeah.
Like I can look at you, Jamie, and I can say, You're a deep down dirty liar. And you're going to take offense to that.
Mhm.
Or I can say the exact same thing and go, you're a deep down dirty liar. And we're friends. I mean, the tone, and so we really have to watch our tone. We have to show a sense of gentleness. You can say the right thing the wrong way, and lose a lot of friends. And you can walk around saying, "But I was right." Sure, you were right, but now you got no friends.
But I used to in a lot of my communications trainings that I do for organizations, things I always talk about like no one's really a good enough liar to get past the way the tone or the body language that they use when they say something. Like you might be able to get by for a while, but eventually the truth comes out. So I always use this example. It's like I'm walking down the hall and we pass each other in the hall one morning and you say, "Hey, Jamie, how you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm fine."
Are you?
Well, yeah, exactly, right? I mean, like you said the words, "I am fine," but everything else about you says something's wrong with Jamie, which people have been saying that for years. But there's something wrong with Jamie. Um,
That's another
but the tone tells the truth.
right.
So when we're having this civil discourse with somebody, we have to make sure that we are constantly asking ourselves, what's my intent here? Is my intent to share ideas, learn about you, and share mine, or is my intent to prove you wrong? Because the moment my intent changes to proving you wrong or proving me right, all of a sudden my tone will change. And I may have all the wisdom and all the shrewdness and all the research and all the things to back up why I believe the way I believe, but I will now be using those facts or what I call my facts or my opinions or my thoughts or my ideas. I will now be using those as a weapon against you versus a sharing of information.
That is very well said. Very well done. I like that. I like that.
And I think the last thing that we have to keep in mind too is that civility isn't compromised. I'm not compromising my thoughts, my opinions, my beliefs by trying to stay civil with you. And I think that's where I think in this day and age we get hung up so much of like if I can't yell and scream and try to prove you wrong, then somehow I'm compromising my own beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah. And civility, I agree. Civility is not compromise. I mean, we speak the truth in love. That's what we're commanded to do. Speak the truth in love. And speaking is not the emphasis, and truth is not the emphasis. Love is the
Love.
emphasis.
Yeah.
Speak the truth. A lot of people can speak the truth, or
And Bill, and you
or what they think is the truth. But speak the truth in love, and your tone changes. Your
so
intent changes.
it does. And I think there's one last piece to all of this.
Yep.
Um, when Jesus was giving the disciples the directive to go out, you're gonna be like sheep, you're gonna get eaten by the wolves, but here's how you need to deal with it is be shrewd as serpents, innocent as doves. So that's the love piece,
Mm-hmm.
right? But there's another element to all of this, and that is be able to dust your feet off and walk away. If they
Nice.
don't, if they don't believe, if they don't believe what you have to say, they don't accept what you have to say, you have to be able to just knock the dust off your feet and walk away from it and not allow it to bother you because while you may have been able to have civil discourse with this person, but if you allowed it to eat at you as you walked away from the conversation, your next conversation is going to be jaded.
Well put. And knocking the dust off is you got to let it go
Yeah.
because
Not
you
everybody's going to believe the way you believe. Not everybody's going to accept your ideas. And that's
yeah.
okay. That's for God to deal with,
So
not you.
have you ever walked away from a conversation, somewhat heated conversation, and you think later, oh man, I blew that. Oh, I did not.
No,
Oh,
I've never had those.
I have them all the time. I'm thinking, oh, I mean, I know hindsight is 2020, and
Boy, I screwed that up.
right, and I'm thinking, oh man, if I'd only remembered what I know remembered just now, if I remembered that during the conversation, I would have. And he said, I would have won the conversation. No, you wouldn't have. It's not, and that's the thing about civil discourse. It's not a question of win lose.
Yeah.
And as soon as you go into something going in with a win lose, I had a guy. Decades ago, I was working at a Christian bookstore, and a guy came in, and he just wanted to say, we're just reasoning among ourselves as Christians, and he had this theological point that he had to make, and it was a catch-all type of a thing. If you say it one way, he'll go the other way, and if you say it the other way, he'll go the one way. He was looking for an argument. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what he was doing.
And I think there's so many people out there that's what they're looking for.
They're looking for an argument, right? And they're just looking for a way to point a finger and win an argument. And it's not about the winning. Civil discourse is not about winning an argument. It's about speaking the truth in love.
Well, you made a comment. If you walk into it as a win-lose, then what that does is it actually puts us in competition. And if you think about any kind of a sports analogy or any kind of sporting event, it's a competition. It's a win-lose scenario. That's it. Unless you have a tie, which should never ever be acceptable in any sort of sport. But anyway,
you mean like last Sunday night?
like Sunday night, or in soccer or football, 0-0. Like that's right. Not acceptable. Anyway, but if it's competition, think about competition. When I am competing against you, do I share my strategy with you? Do I share my game plan with you? Do I share my playbook with you? I don't share any of that with you. And that means that I am not being completely honest and forthright with you.
Right.
But in civil discourse, if I think about it as a win-lose, I'll do the same thing to you.
Yeah. And
I'm trying to win. But if I just walk in with like, let's just share ideas and see how it comes out. Now I am much more willing to literally share everything with you. I'm not going to hide anything. There's no reason for me to hide anything because it's not a competition.
Yeah. Some people come in into any discourse with gotcha phrases. Yeah. I'm just waiting for the time, waiting for the spot to throw out this gotcha phrase. I have a gotcha phrase for absolute truth. When somebody says, if truth is, all truth is relative. And my initial thought is that statement true all the time? Gotcha.
So let's wrap this up a little bit, Bill.
We need to wrap this up because why wouldn't we?
So what do we need? What do we want our listeners to keep in mind to help them have civil discourse?
Okay. 3 reflective questions. When was the last time you spoke the truth, but without love? And how could that have gone differently? You're going back going, oh man, I wish I'd have said this differently. And we do that all the time because whenever we have conversations that potentially could get heated, anyway. Another question you can ask yourself is, who in your life models both boldness and gentleness well? And how can you learn from that?
That's a balance, right? Like that's a unique trait.
That's something to pray over ourselves. Lord, help me to be bold and gentle at the same time.
Yeah.
And honestly telling God or asking God, I don't get this, but I need your help with this.
Yep.
So looking forward, what's one conversation this week where you need to be both a serpent and a dove?
Probably everyone. Pretty much every conversation I have from this point forward, I need to be both.
Yeah, and to realize that you need to be both. I think part of being a serpent is this is weird talking about it being a serpent, but being a serpent is holding your tongue. I know serpents anyway, but it's holding your tongue until the right moment to bring up the truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or sometimes it's knowing when to say something and when not to say something.
Yeah, like the serpent in the garden. And this is a guess. My serpent in the garden wasn't screaming and yelling. The serpent in the garden was whispering in her ear.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like that. You don't have to be. Anyway, you get the idea. But those are some reflective questions that you can bounce off yourself this week and ask God to give you guidance. So this has been a fun discussion, and we got through it without arguing.
Yeah, we did. It was good. I liked it. A lot of fun.
It
Hey,
was
head
good.
over there. There's Bill.
And that's Jamie. Drop a comment. Let's have a conversation in the comments. Wouldn't that be great?
That'd be awesome.